So how do we get better answers from AI? I mean, really better, more accurate answers. It's the question on everyone's mind, and today, we're going to break down the 3 big techniques that make it happen.
You know, we've all done that little vanity search on Google, right? Just to see what's out there. Well, the new version of that is asking a chatbot, hey, who am I? And if you've tried it, you know the answers are, well, they're all over the place. One model might get a few things right, another might confuse you with someone else entirely. And that right there, that simple little test, it perfectly captures a much, much bigger problem with AI.
Here's the deal. A standard AI model is working with what it was taught, and that knowledge has a cutoff date. It probably doesn't know about your company's latest report or last week's news or anything super specific you need. So what you end up with are answers that are kind of generic, pretty outdated, or sometimes just completely made up. So, how do we fix this?
Well, we're going to look at 3 really powerful ways to solve this. First, we'll quickly touch on the core AI knowledge problem. Then, we'll dive right into RAG, fine-tuning, and prompt engineering. And the best part? We'll see how they all work together and figure out how you can choose the right tools for what you need to do.
Okay, first up, let's just nail down this core issue, the AI knowledge problem. You just got to remember that every large language model is basically a snapshot, frozen in time. It's not surfing the web in real time. It doesn't know what happened yesterday. And that's the gap we need to bridge.
So our first solution is something called Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. The absolute best way to think about RAG is like giving the AI an open book test. Instead of just relying on what it's already memorized, it gets to look up the answers from a specific, trusted source right before it talks to you.
And this is the whole idea in a nutshell. RAG lets the model tap into an external knowledge base. Now that could be anything, your company's internal wiki, the latest stock market data, a huge legal library, and it pulls in the most relevant current info to answer your question. It's like giving the AI fresh notes on the fly. So how does this open book thing actually work? Well, it's a 3-step dance. First, it retrieves the right info. And this is the really cool part. It uses something called vector embeddings. That's a fancy way of saying it's not just looking for keywords, it's looking for meaning. So if you ask about profitability, it's smart enough to grab a document that talks about Q4 earnings. Second, it augments your original question with all this great new info. And finally, it generates an answer that is way more accurate and way more informed.
The upside here is massive. You get current, super specific answers, and you seriously cut down on the chances the AI just makes stuff up, what we call hallucinations. But of course, there are trade-offs. That whole retrieval step, it takes a second, so it adds latency. Your answers are slower, and you have to build and take care of that external knowledge base, which means more cost for processing and infrastructure.
Okay, on to our second technique, fine-tuning. Now, if RAG is the open book exam, think of fine-tuning as sending your AI to grad school to become a specialist. You're not just handing it new books to read, you are fundamentally retraining it to be an expert in one specific subject.
This quote nails it. With fine-tuning, you're not just adding facts. You're taking a big, general model and retraining it on a very specific data set. We're talking thousands of examples of exactly what you want it to do. This process actually goes in and adjusts the model's internal wiring, its weights. It learns the jargon, the style, the logic of a specific field. It changes how it thinks.
The big win here is true, deep expertise. And because all that knowledge is baked right into the model, the answers come back fast, way faster than RAG. The catch? It's a heavy lift. You need tons of high-quality examples to train it on, and the training itself needs some serious computer power. Plus, there's this wild risk called catastrophic forgetting, where the model gets so good at its new specialty that it kind of forgets some of the general stuff it used to know.
All right, last but not least, let's talk about the technique that every single one of us can start using right now, prompt engineering. This is simply the art of asking the perfect question. You're not changing the model, you're not feeding it new data, you're just becoming a master interrogator, skillfully guiding the AI to give you the best possible answer, using the knowledge it already has.
And this slide shows it perfectly. Look at that simple prompt on the left. Is this code secure? You're going to get a vague, useless answer. Now look at the engineered prompt. It's a masterpiece. It assigns a role, act as a cybersecurity expert. It gives context, review this Python code. It gets specific, look for SQL injection, and it tells it how to answer, explain step by step. See, you're unlocking the model's full potential with precision. The beauty of prompt engineering is that it's fast, it's free, and you get results instantly. No IT team needed. But it has some hard limits, it takes some trial and error to get right, and most importantly, it cannot add new knowledge. If the AI wasn't trained on something, no matter how cleverly you ask, it can't just invent the information.
So we've got RAG, fine-tuning, and prompt engineering. Which one wins? Well, here's the real pro tip. It's not a competition. The most powerful AI systems don't pick just one. They use them together. They're not rivals, they're teammates.
This legal AI example just makes it crystal clear. You'd use RAG to pull in the very latest court decisions, stuff that changes every day. You'd use fine-tuning to teach the model your law firm's unique writing style and internal lingo. And then you'd use prompt engineering with every single query to make sure the final output is formatted perfectly, just like a real legal brief. See? Each technique is doing a different job. So it really all comes down to figuring out what you actually need. It's not about which technique is the best overall. It's about picking the right tool or the right combination of tools for the job at hand.
So let's wrap it up with this handy chart. You should always start with prompt engineering. It's the fastest and cheapest way to get better results. If that doesn't work because the AI is missing key information, that's your cue to bring in RAG to give it that up-to-date knowledge. And then for those cases where you need true, deep, specialized expertise, that's when you commit the big resources to fine-tuning. It's a logical path forward.
So the next time you get a frustrating answer from an AI, you'll know exactly what's going on under the hood. The question isn't, is this AI any good anymore? The real question is, which tool am I going to reach for to make it even better? It's amazing to think how far we've come from just Googling ourselves. Thanks so much for tuning in.